Yes, I know I'm late to the party, but I've had like 4 different video topics that I wanted to go over, and all of them would have taken too long to make in the time frame that I have. Now, with a week at the time of writing this, and probably less than a week at the time of releasing this, Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 are rapidly approaching. And wow, I do not know how to feel about that. No, seriously, my thoughts on this game feel really confusing at the moment. It got to a point where the idea of this game getting updated seemed like such a distant idea, and to know I have less than a week until I can get my hands on it, honestly, it feels really surreal. Like, we've had several years to theorize what could happen next, what happened in the past, the identity of the night, the location of deaths, what the roaring actually consists of, what is Rousey hiding, how does Gaster fit into all this, how will the weird route play out, is Birdley dead, who's gonna be the next secret boss, what's going on with Spamton, Mike, and Tenna, and who the fuck is Pluie? Anyway, point being, it's been a long time since we've had a new chapter, and we've never gotten 2 at the same time. And with the release of the trailers for the game, the newsletters that followed, and even the newsletters that predated the trailer, certain expectations have been set. And while I think that expectations for the way the game will go will more often than not lead to disappointment, I think it could be fun to talk about some of the predictions I have, just to see how on the mark I get, or to see how horribly off the deep end I am. I would like to preface though and say that these are nothing more than fun predictions. I am in no way saying that these are definitive or that I would be disappointed if Toby went in a completely different direction than I had anticipated. One of my favorite things about Deltarune is its ability to make you believe one thing will happen and then subvert it to something completely different. It's cool. I'm just a girl having fun, not trying to stir up unnecessary arguments. With that being said, my ideas will be based as much on the information that we've been given so far as possible. I'm gonna try really hard to stay within the realm of reality as I can, but I may jump a little all over the place if I have an idea that might not align with certain information we have. Again, it's all for fun. I'll be splitting up my predictions into 10 different sections, 5 predictions per chapter, just to keep it a little consistent. I have a tendency to ramble on about things that aren't even close to related, but I'll try to spare you that kind of suffering, at least for one video. And hey, care to subscribe? I really want to start getting this channel to be consistent and focus more on Undertale and Deltarune related videos, so any push helps. Okay, ready? The fun gang will hop between channels to progress. Now, at this point, it's no secret that Chapter 3 will be based on television. That much is clear, but we have yet to see how that will actually unfold in the game. We've seen several different sections of the TV Dark World at this point, but we haven't got a clear idea as to how we will traverse from section to section. It could be done how Chapter 2 handles the transition from the cyberfield to the city, that being the roller coaster not being finished and falling down into it, but I think it might be handled in a different way. My prediction being channel hopping. Let me explain. Imagine that you're currently in an area that you've gone through and found all you needed to find. Talked to all the NPCs you wanted to talk to, defeated all the enemies, whatever. Let's say you wanted to progress to another area or backtrack. In your inventory, you have some sort of TV remote that you can use at almost any time, with a few exceptions, of course. Think of maybe the menu used for the Wii console. In this menu, you will have plenty of themed channels that you can explore, but can only be unlocked with points. This can add some form of non-linearity, while also ensuring players don't reach the end right away, with certain early areas only awarding a certain amount of points that can't afford channels intended for later scenes. Maybe some channels needed for progression can be locked behind items that are given from specific channels, or maybe you can only interact with channels that are directly next to the channel you're currently in. Either way, it could keep the chapter feeling fresh with tons of variety and locations, give a solid use for the points, allow for some creative freedom and potential speedrunning strategies, like deciding which channels are the best suited for efficiency and which ones can be ignored, and with locking certain channels until specific tasks are done or items are collected, still allows for forced cutscenes scenes to have character progression. Honestly, even if this isn't in the game, I would love to see someone incorporate this into their own Deltarune take. Please man, I think it's such a cool idea. A Toriel and Undyne cooking show. This one's kinda silly. Toriel being involved with Chapter 3 seems like a no-brainer considering her presence at the end of Chapter 2, but Undyne being involved is definitely still up in the air. Toriel did call the police before falling asleep, so I think it's likely that Undyne will play some sort of role in the chapter, and I think it'll be sort of how Noelle and Birdley are handled. I think we may be able to control Toriel in fights, and Undyne will be a sort of antagonist alongside Tenna. This idea will actually come back up later in my next prediction, but I'll get to that in a bit. I believe there could be a sequence in the game that involves a cooking show, somewhat similar to Metatons in Undertale, where the characters are forced to participate to progress. Undyne's more extreme form of cooking, as seen in her date in Undertale, could be shown and could clash with Toriel's slower and practical approach, thus leading to a conflict. All the while, Tenna could be further instigating for the sake of ratings and trying to push the Lightners to their limit. I think it could be a great scene having small mini-games for different tasks for the meals being prepped, while also having the personalities of Toriel and Undyne being put at full center and clashing at the same time. Maybe some nods to the cooking scenes in Undertale could be placed here and there too, for the longtime fans. Who knows? I think a lot could be done with it, maybe even a battle style with the cooking themed minigame, similar to the rules card battle in Chapter 2, but I don't know. I could see it going plenty of different ways if it turns out to be real. The sneaking sequence is from Undyne. Do you guys remember the newsletter where Toby said the team was working on a scene with sneaking, probably from the main antagonist of the chapter? And do you remember the newsletter where he said they were probably going to scrap that scene because the mechanic was inherently boring? And do you guys remember the screenshot we saw that looked very much like sneaking? Suffice to say, the sequence probably made it into the final game. And an extent... Baby, go. Go play with your toy. And in extension, I think they added a gimmick to make it a little bit more fun. Who knows what it is, but if Toby was able to recognize the original concept was flawed, I'm sure he fixed it in the final version for the sake of the player's enjoyment. But what exactly is the context of this sequence? Sure, it can be assumed that it's nothing more than the Fun Gang trying to avoid Tenna, but with my channel hopping theory, I find it reasonable to assume Tenna is able to keep track of the Lightners and not lose sight of them. After all, it wouldn't be a good show if the host couldn't keep track of their stars. I personally think that instead, Undyne is trying to track down the Fun Gang, while Tenna watches. In their eyes, it could add suspense to their show. Undyne wants to find them for whatever reason, I haven't thought that far ahead yet, and the Fun Gang wants to escape because she's dangerous, and the enemy in their eyes, and they have a fountain to seal. This is the prediction that I'm probably going to be the most iffy on, but I see it being a possibility, so I'm going to mention it, but my reasoning behind it is shaky at best. I just think it would be neat and could establish Undyne as a relatively big threat for the rest of the Lightners, but we'll see. The Valentine's letter is Mike, not Tenna, not Gaster. So, for Valentine's Day, Deltarune sent out Valentine's letters to people with the release of a newsletter. Plenty of them had Undertale characters and some fun, cheeky dialogue. But one of them was strange, and it reads as follows. It's a strange letter. It's more or less completely illegible, but if you squint your eyes and you squint your heart, for some reason, you feel like you could understand it.
Well, Happy New Year, or was it the Old Year? Well, in any case, how was Deltarune? As you were waiting patiently, the time is going around. There was even a rumor of Valentine's Day. How was it fair? Every day is a day of love, if only you believe it so. Do you believe it so? So, the purpose of the message. I want to help. Yes, there is someone I want to help. I think you have forgotten who. Yes, it's quite ironic, but I think you have forgotten. Was it myself? No? Well, perhaps. Regardless, when I see them, I'm certain I will know it straight away. I never forget someone I don't remember. Will you help me? You are very odd, responding out loud to the letter, but you seem reliable. I will be counting on you. Now, put on your coat and wash your face. Or put on your face and wash your coat. Not necessarily in that order, or in any order at all. Goodbye.
There was a sound like something walking away, and the letter was gone. What the fuck? So, yeah. There are a lot of ideas about who this mystery person could be. Some say it's Gaster because of the all-capital typeface and overall weird vibe of it. Some say it's Tenna because... I don't know, actually. Like really, I have no clue. I can't give a clear indication as to why this could be Tenna, because we don't really know much about Tenna. We know that they're unlikable, considering this Toby tweet, so I assume Tenna isn't trying to receive help from us, so my best guess is that it's Mike. Mike being the potential secret boss for Chapter 3, specifically with lines asking about Deltarune and wanting to help someone he doesn't remember. The only characters who have the knowledge of Deltarune being a video game is Jevil and Spamton, both being secret bosses, and probably Ralzai, but he doesn't talk like this at all. Not only that, but it's confirmed that Gaster can make you forget about things that relate to him, if Noel's blogs are anything to go by. And so wanting to help someone he doesn't remember would also add up. And plus, the way the user talks is incredibly odd enough to be on par with the other secret bosses. I mean, look how Spamton talks. There is no way this guy is fucking normal. Rudy does not get better. So, sorry, Noel. No, I don't think there is a single world in which Rudy recovers from the condition that he has. And I mean this in a way that doesn't just apply to Chapter 3. I don't think Rudy is ever getting better. He's dead in Undertale, so I assume that maybe the fact that Undertale and Deltarune are parallel stories, that because one dies in one world, the other dies in the other world? That might be a bit of a stretch, but anyway, I don't see Toby going in a direction where Rudy recovers from his illness because it would seem like such a nothing plot point. Like, yeah, Rudy is sick, and now he's not sick. I don't think it would have any impact on the story unless it was slowly getting worse, but a miracle happened and saved him, but I don't know. I've been working on a character analysis on Noel for a long time now, and one of the main theories I have largely depends on the fate of Rudy, so I am pretty biased with what I think will happen to him, but at least with Chapter 3, I doubt he will recover enough to go to church with Noel. I think it could be a powerful moment for Noel in which he starts to have doubts about his recovery, and as a result, changes because of that. And I mean, why would he have a recovery in time for Chapter 3? If he was kept longer in the hospital for the sake of testing, that means they probably found something, and that something may end up being fatal. And that just about covers it for Chapter 3. A lot more of my ideas are going to be fleshed out with this one in comparison to Chapter 4, but that's because we have a lot less information for 4 in comparison to 3. I'm going to be going off more assumptions and hypotheses rather than conclusions and theories as we delve into the 4th chapter. Hopefully that won't be too annoying, but I'll try to make it as concise as possible regardless. And hey, if you made it this far, consider subscribing or liking the video. Anything helps, and I would really appreciate it. Okay, and my Chapter 4 predictions goes as follows. Jockington and Catti plays a role in the Dark World. I mean, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think Jockington and Catti will be in Chapter 4's Dark World and will play a major part, similar to how Noel and Birdley are in Chapter 2. They've already been hinted at to be a duo from the hula hooping in Chapter 1, and we have the screenshot on the Steam page where Jockington grows the beard, indicating his involvement. So a logical conclusion is to see that Catti would also appear in the chapter. Honestly, I really like this idea. Catti is a pretty quiet character, but I would love to see her explored more. Despite how little she speaks, some of her lines are very interesting and I want to see more explored. Plus, her involvement in the second batch of Spamton sweepstakes in the Rain blog could potentially be hinting at her relevancy in a future chapter, or more specifically, Chapter 4. Then there's Jockington, a character that admittedly I have a very indifferent opinion of. He's cool and funny, but that's also what I said about everyone whom I didn't know in 4th grade and was being forced to say nice things about for a project. He's just a bit forgettable right now, so I hope that a potential role in Chapter 4 could spice things up for him and add some real depth to his character. We know literally nothing about him as of now, so really Toby and Co could go in any direction. I just want to see my silly snake buddy get the attention he deserves, and my silly cat friend too. Please, Toby, they deserve it. Alvin will be the main antagonist. Sorry, Alvin Knight believers, you're probably not going to agree with this one. This one mostly came out of a desire to see Alvin get some spotlight despite not having a character portrait, but at the same time, I like the idea of the Knight being its own original character rather than secretly being a character we've already seen before. So I settled on the idea of Alvin being the main antagonist of only Chapter 4. I would think he would be against the idea of Dark World since his religion seems to emphasize the importance of light, so it would directly contradict his beliefs, therefore giving him a reason to fight against it. I could see this as him starting out trying to find a peaceful solution to the problem, but as time goes on, he resorts to more forceful methods to achieve his goal. Then perhaps a realization at the end comes from comparing himself to his father to see the consequences of his actions. I do understand it could be argued that it could be seen as completely out of character for him to do something like that, but we really don't know much about his character to make conclusions like that. We only have 2 branches of dialogue to determine what kind of person he is, which is nowhere near enough to determine his personality. Plus, it could give more context on the moral boundaries of the religion that Hometown primarily follows, while being expanded upon from the rest of the Dark World. Will this happen? Probably not, but would I love to see it explored? Yes. We start the chapter in a serious mode. Okay, this one comes from either a complete misinterpretation or a total read on my and plenty of other theorists' part. In this teaser video of Chapter 4, we can see a couple of notable changes to the act and magic menus that raise a few red flags. The 2 that I want to bring into question are the check description and Susie's ultimate healing spell, or in that case, lack thereof. First, the check menu is labeled as useless analysis, which is oddly cold and to the point considering the general tone of this game. Not only that, but Susie's spell that was originally labeled as ultimate heal is now just heal. This gave me 2 immediate thoughts in my mind. Either Susie's getting better at healing and as a result the spell is upgrading, or, the one I more believe, the game is currently in some equivalent to serious mode, which, for all you normal people out there who don't consume every inch of Undertale-related content for breakfast, is a variable activated when fighting Toriel, Asgore, Asriel, Undyne the Undying, or Sans. It essentially just changes the names for a bunch of items in the item menu when displayed, these items being abbreviated to fit the box, usually as jokes, such as the butterscotch pie being abbreviated to Butts Pie. When serious mode is on though, names abbreviated are shortened and with fewer jokes. The Butts Pie, for example again, is changed to simply Pie, or the Leg Hero, which is the legendary hero, is changed to just L Hero. This also has other effects like making the instant noodles absolutely busted or removing certain sounds when consuming foods. So yeah, but what does this have to do with Deltarune? Well, my prediction is that some event that happens at the end of Chapter 3, perhaps Rousey finding out Chris opened the fountain, causes the relationship between the fun game to falter. When Chapter 4 comes, there may be a bit of tension between the 3, causing a serious mode to activate to indicate the shift in tone. I could see the game maybe going in a direction where Catti and Jockington feel partially responsible to mend the relationships between the 3 with silly gags, but that one's completely up in the air. I'm pretty sure I heard this from a comment or a YouTube video somewhere, but I honestly can't remember where this idea initially came from. If anyone knows, please tell me in the comments and I'll link it in the description. We will be able to kill enemies. If you haven't noticed, I've tried pretty hard not to cover weird route related events because the future of that route is honestly left completely up in the air. We have no clue what's going to happen in the future, and the Spamton sweepstakes aren't making it any easier, but I wanted to at least touch on it a little. And why not go ahead and say that, unlike the previous chapters, we will have the ability to kill Darkners. Usually, when attacking an enemy, they just run away rather than die. Though there was an unused animation that indicated an enemy could be killed, we were never given the chance. Kinda. But we were never intentionally given the chance to kill enemies. Well, I think that will change with Chapter 4's release. Unlike the other predictions, I don't have much evidence to prove this, but I just get a strange feeling that our actions are going to be more cemented as time goes on. If anything, I think a weird route could result in enemy deaths, if the main route couldn't. I mean, we're shown that Snowgrave has the ability to take enemy lives, so who's to say that couldn't happen again with just a different character? But outside of that, there isn't much to say with this one. I just think it could be an interesting idea. We learned the meaning of Deltarune, or the Deltarune, to be specific. Yes, these are two different things, apparently. One is the name of a game, and one is a symbol in both Undertale and Deltarune. It is the Deltarune. I don't fucking know, dude. But anyway, this is another prediction that I can't give a lot of evidence to prove the existence of, but I just think it would be a perfect time to explain some things about it. Sure, Gerson in Undertale does give some context behind the Deltarune, but this is not Undertale, it's Deltarune. God, this is gonna get so confusing. There is clearly some parallels between the two games, but enough is different to make me question what the symbol is in relation to the context of this game. Plus, the Deltarune in Undertale is context dependent on the fact that the monsters are stuck underground. We aren't stuck there in Deltarune, so what does this mean here? Sure, we get the story of the legend in the Dark World, but what about its use in the Light World? How does that tie into it? It has to symbolize something else because most of the Lightners seem completely unaware of the Dark World's existence, so it must have some alternate meaning to them, probably something to do with religion. And so I think Chapter 4 would be a perfect time to set the info dump in motion. Knowing more about the Deltarune could give us some context behind the religion and what exactly its beliefs are. Because currently, as we stand, we know shockingly little about it. Mostly just what Alvin says and inferring off of some of Toriel's actions. But outside of that, I think it's gonna get developed a lot more in Chapter 4, and I think there's a real possibility that the Deltarune will be an important part of it. So yeah, that just about covers my predictions for the upcoming chapters. This video definitely turned out longer than I expected it to, but I just had more to say that I didn't want to leave out, so I just kept adding more. Sorry if it got a bit boring, but God, there's so much to rant about with this game. I'm incredibly excited for the new chapters, and I'll be playing them the second they come out. Which reminds me, I plan to livestream my entire first playthrough right on this YouTube channel. It'll probably start maybe an hour or so after it comes out in my area, but I plan to show everything I can and not miss a single detail. Of course, in Toby games, that's an inevitability, but god damn it, I'm gonna try my best. After all, this game means a great deal to me, and I want to support it as much as I can. And with that, I don't have much else to say. Please subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed, leave a comment letting me know what you think of my predictions or if you have your own, and I'll see you Wednesday.